Forex scarcity and liquidity issues have impacted Nigeria's aviation sector. With foreign airlines threatening to boycott the skies above the country, the government released $265 million out of over $400 million trapped in the country. How far will this go to ease tensions? And companies around the world are always looking for the best way to get the most out of their people. From small and medium-scale businesses to large corporations, one question is how to leverage people potential. And on today's Money Monday, we look at the basics of investing in the real estate sector. Welcome to Business Edge. I'm Tolulokwe Adeleru Balogun. Business Headlines is up first. Apologies for that slight break in transmission. Now, Japan has pledged $30 billion in aid for development in Africa, saying it wants to work more closely with the continent, with the rules-based international order under threat after Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Addressing a Japan-Africa summit in Tunisia, Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida said Tokyo would work to ensure grain shipments to Africa amid a global shortage. The Egyptian government has started negotiations with the Qatar Investment Authority to sell its stakes in the Alexandria Container and Cargo Handling Company and the Eastern Company. The authority aims to take between 10 to 20% of the shares owned by the holding company for maritime and land transport, which currently amounts to about 35%. The deals are expected to be implemented by the end of this week. And Tanzanian companies have been granted exemptions on imported products that attract 35% duty barely a month after the EAC Common External Tariff came into force. In a legal notice signed by the EAC Council of Ministers Chair Betty Maina, the Tanzanian companies can now import raw materials and inputs for the manufacture of wire products at 0% for a year. And finally, Kenya Airways has received 6.7 billion Kenyan shillings out of the 26.6 billion Kenyan shillings of state support approved by the National Treasury on February the 4th of this year. According to the airline's chief financial officer, Helen Muthino Muthuka, the airline is receiving the taxpayers' funded support in target phases based on realization of set milestones. And those are a few quick headlines for you. We have our first conversation coming up right after this. Now, leverage is the ability to influence a system or environment in a way that multiplies your efforts. And better said, it is investing the right amount of effort through the proper channel to yield greater returns for your business. For small businesses, there can be no greater leverage than the people. But even big businesses and corporations can benefit from leveraging the potential of their people. Bhavesh and Chandaria, business head and the general manager, Ethiopian Steel PLC, a member of Safal Group Africa, joins me now to talk about how to leverage people potential. Bhavesh, welcome to Business Edge. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
So let's look at this in terms of what potential really means. When we hear potential, it means that something hasn't really become what it could become. It's just still in the process. So when we look at getting people in small and medium businesses and even large corporations like yourself to actualize what they can do for the company, how do we do that?
My first and foremost thing is do not stop them from performing, in the sense that quite often our systems, our processes, our policies restrict them. And the goal is to have A, B, C, D, above and beyond the call of duty. How do we tap into the people's unlimited, untapped potential of discretional effort? Discretional effort as in that I was required to do this, but I am giving that extra thing, A, B, C, D. Now that's in science and also in art. And we as a corporate world and we as an organization of business and society have not yet tapped into the processes and the know-how of tapping that into it. The first step is to know the fact that people support what they help create. And are we tapping into the voice of people? And are we engaging them into our and aligning them into our what we want to do is fine, is decided by top, but how to do it. So if we tap into their voice, that's very important. Secondly, remove the soreness. In order to get engaged people, in HR parlance, it's called engagement. Satisfaction is a minimum, but the engagement is where you get A, B, C, D, above and beyond the call of duty. And in order to do that, we need to remove soreness at a very basic minimum level, and then have people aligned and onboarded to your mission. And once they are, and they believe in it, it becomes their mission.
Yes.
And the subtle art of leadership, the subtle art of the science of HR policies and people practices, which is to be done by leaders. And even at the small scale industries, or even medium sized organization, or even in a family, or in a society, we need to tap those small little efforts. So it's a huge science. People are recognizing that. And among all asset class, the last frontier and unlimited frontier of growth is people.
Is people. So I want to pick up, because you mentioned society twice, and while we can have this on a business scale and a business conversation, we have to talk about the African continent, and that has to be potential people. We talk about 1.3, 1 point something billion Africans. We talk about the largest youth population on the continent. We talk about the potential of African economies, but a lot of us are still struggling to see all of that become reality. So how do we even, in a way, move this from just a business conversation to a societal one, and one that also helps to transform Africa into what it really should be?
Africa is sitting on a demographic dividend potential which is much better than any other continent. And look at what Rwanda is doing. Look at what Mauritius has done. Look at how we are engaging in various pockets of excellences in Africa to get the society involved. Look at Ubuganda of Rwanda, where they are tapping into people's energy to clean up the environment and have the cultural nuances. Every last Saturday of the month in Rwanda is holiday. It means there's no work, but everybody gets into the neighborhood, first cleans the home, then they clean their neighborhood, and they do a cultural thing in a group. So look at Nigeria and West, where we had guinea worm disease in the earlier times, and we discarded it off by having social engagement of the people. So I believe in tremendous potential, and my wife and I are dedicating our lives to potential development of Africa, which is arrested development, from arrested to absolutely liberated development of Africa. And that can be done, and that is easily to be done. All we need in Africa is a mindset reset from complaint and victimhood to potential and possibilities. And that happens in mind first. And as a society, we need to instill confidence in our people, hope, and also train them on the basic skills and the behaviors that would lead to such things. Follow Rwanda. I'm very, very excited about what they're doing. And these kind of rituals, once they become imbibed into the life. Learn from church, learn from our temples. They have rituals. They follow things, and people don't, and it is imbibed into the life. So how do we create such positivity? First thing is cleanliness. Lack of, corruption. I will not do it. I'll not allow others to do. Value addition, showing up on time, respecting other people. These are certain good enabler behaviors that we need to instill on people at societal level. And once it is at societal level, it would transcend to corporate and to schools and to other aspects of the life.
So let's come back to the HR sort of business aspect of this, because with COVID-19, we've seen a number of interesting trends, particularly in the West. And I want to see if you're seeing some of this as well here on the continent. They've called something the Great Resignation, where there have been a number of people simply just resigning because COVID-19 has made them really think about work-life balance, and instead that it should be life-work balance. So people are choosing, quote unquote, themselves versus this sort of 9-to-5 constant hustle. There's also something called the Great Resigning now, or rather the quiet resigning, where people don't resign from their jobs, but they just do just enough. They do just what their contract says. And those are some of the trends we're seeing in the West. What do you think are some of the trends we might have seen coming out of COVID-19? And how do companies deal with what has now become really a global kind of issue in terms of work, living, and making sure we're having some kind of fun and enjoyment doing it all?
Well, thank you for asking this question. The quiet quitting is dangerous because you're just there in your presence to do your minimum. And that trend is with this woke generation. But I'm sure Africa won't be infected of it. Africa was not even infected by COVID, so don't worry about it. The Africans basically are happy people. And if we leverage the passion aspect into their work, it would be awesome. Ikigai, the Japanese technique of happy living, basically marries what I'm good at, what I love to do, what market would pay, and what is my strength. So once we combine and make work play, and what we need to do is what we do at Safal Group also in a different way is to marry your passion KRA or passion key results area into your work. We must kind of give some 10-20% of time to people to do cross-functional different projects which are aligned to their passion, and that would then give the juice in the job for people to come and wake up and give the discretionary effort. So we need to make work fun, and there are techniques, and best thing is people support what they help create. Please listen to them with an intent to understand them.
So does leveraging the potential of the people in your organization, does it look different from what a small and medium scale business would do to what a large corporation would do? Are there differences in how that's done? And what really is the motivation, not just corporate motivation, but possibly also personal motivation in this?
It's the personal motivation is any businessman want to have unlimited returns, and it is clear that the last frontier of returns is people. The medium and small enterprises, bulk of them unfortunately do not realize them. They use them as assets and not necessarily as human resource with unlimited potential. So that should sink into the mind, and we should show that. And we should, you as media and me as a HR champion should start showcasing such small and medium-sized organizations who are leveraging people and their potential. It is an issue even difficult to drive at a corporate culture where we need to change culture because of the legacy and the baggage that they carry. And they say it's too big and now it's bad. So it is difficult on both the side, but it's not undoable. And the best thing about Africa is people, if engaged in the right fashion, and I've done that in Kenya, Tanzania, Malawi, Rwanda, and now I'm trying to do that in Ethiopia. They do wholeheartedly take it up on them and adapt. So we cannot resign, and we need to keep trying the same thing in different fashion. The main magic of the whole thing is your intent should be in your mind, and let people get enrolled to it, and that your mission should become their mission.
Yes.
So keep your intellect on the back end and keep your heart on the front end, and then see how you can engage with the small, medium scale and the large corporations. It's a magical sweet spot. There's no standard formula, but yes, there are things that we surely should not do.
All right, so Bhavesh, before I let you go, let me ask this question. Someone might think, why this conversation? But in the long run, it is a conversation that can lead down to the success and the growth and even prosperity of any business. So why is it important for businesses, both small, medium, large corporations, to look for ways to leverage people potential?
I tell you, what is the option they have now? Why not? The people, organizations have recognized in this talent economy that there is no other way out to get that incremental progress. On the contrary, if you ignore human asset and human capital people, then the success, the failure is guaranteed. So I guess it's a non-brainer now. There is no option but to learn the people magic, the people practices, the people thingy.
And there is no magic. There might not be a magic bullet, but there definitely are a few things we can do. Bhavesh, thank you so much for joining me. It is one of those conversations while not directly making dollars and naira and kobos and cents and shillings, but it's one of those secondary layers that can definitely lead to business success in the long term. Thank you so much for being with me.
Thank you for taking me here.
All right. You're watching Business Edge. There is a lot more coming your way. We have international business coming up. After that, we get into a conversation here in Nigeria. The CBN has released some money for foreign airlines who had their funds trapped. Does that mean there's an easing of this tension? And if you're interested in the real estate markets, we have a real estate investor who's going to give you the ABCs of how to get started. Stick around.